Recording has started. Perfect. Well, we will get started then. Welcome, friends, to our Black Entrepreneurs panel hosted by Launch Terre Haute and the Chamber of Commerce. We are very excited to have some wonderful Black entrepreneurs on our panel, both physically and virtually today, to talk about your entrepreneurial paths, your journey as entrepreneurs in the Wabash Valley and beyond. We put this panel together not only to reflect on our past here in Terre Haute, as Black History Month wants us to, or as we do in Black History Month, but also to look towards the future. And what better way to look towards the future than through the eyes of an entrepreneur? And so that's really what we've done, or what we're trying to do today. For all of you watching at home, this is a recording, and so you'll be able to see this as many times as you want. We're very excited about that. Today on our panel, we have AJ Patton with 548 Capital. We have LT Thompson with Wellness Box, Andre Whittaker with Whit and Will Marketing, and Donnie York with Sophisticated Phresh LLC. And so before we get into some deeper questions, first of all, just tell me a little bit about your business and how you got started. We'll go ahead and start with AJ, if that's okay, and we'll just kind of round robin.
Yeah, sure. So the short of it is 548 Capital is an investment management firm that invests in and creates solar powered affordable housing. And so we manage other investors' money, and then we put it we've invested directly into low income to create sustainable housing. And so we take a kind of a large macro approach to hiring. We're also the developers. So I own a different company called 548 Development, and we develop these communities. We then install all the solar. We do workforce training while at the top managing outside capital.
Awesome, AJ. All right, Andre?
All right, well, I'm Andre Whittaker of Whit and Will Marketing. So we are a design and marketing firm. We specialize in social media advertisement and post, video, photography, geo-targeting, Google Ads, website design. So we started off we wanted to connect the students of Terre Haute from all the different colleges to the businesses. We seen there was a disconnect between the businesses and the students, and we just want to update the businesses, get them bring them to the 21st century. With social media, through video, photography, and websites.
Awesome, love it. LT.
Hello, my name is LT. I am with Wellness Box Inc. I own Wellness Box with my wife, Bonnie Thompson. We started Wellness Box actually here in Launch Terre Haute in 2016. And we moved over to our current physical location, which is on Wabash Avenue, just really around the block. In 2018. So we provide health and wellness services for the community and employers. And our goal is to inspire health overall. We specialize in assessments, body composition assessments, rest and metabolic rate, and VO2 testing, all to provide a roadmap for a person to help with their health and wellness goals, specifically with weight loss, sports performance, anything that they may want to do, but providing a very innovative and technology approach instead of just a cookie cutter program. So yeah, that's what we do.
All right, awesome. And Donnie?
Yes, I am Donnie. I own Sophisticated Phresh LLC. Right now we are focused on our barber and beauty shop, which we do service Terre Haute. We've been open for about 4 years now. We are currently in the works for a natural haircut line as well, which will be coming soon to Terre Haute, you guys, just so you know. But right now we are focusing on being yet still the most biggest staple of the Black community, the original Black country club, the barber shop and the beauty shop. So yeah, so.
The original Black country club.
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Everything happens in the barbershop.
That's awesome. All right, friends. Well, I'll kind of open it up. Whoever wants to start this out, we don't have to go in order or anything. But our first question for the day, talk to me about a time when you as a business owner might have been treated differently because of the color of your skin. And how did that make you feel and how did you react?
Hmm. I think I'll just hop in first. I remember when we got our first business credit card or debit card. And I was traveling and I actually had the business card on the paper and went to activate it, use the PIN number, different things like that. And went to use it outside to get gas, but quickly forgot what I put for my PIN. So didn't work, told me go inside, see the cashier. And the lady said, "You own a business?" Yeah, same thing. And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, dude. It says right here my name and the business name. And her, I mean, she was, "No, you can't." I mean, her response was just, and I mean, it actually escalated. I mean, it escalated to, her pretty much dialing the authorities. Like it wasn't good. So, that was, as a business owner, been excited to use my card for business expense at that time turned into a pretty, what could have been a pretty bad event. Just trying to use a business debit card.
And how did that end? So how did that end up? I mean, it sounds like it escalated. How did that de-escalate?
Yeah, I mean, I quickly just used a different debit card. I obviously just wanted to do everything possible to de-escalate the situation. But I mean, it quickly just brings you down to a level of like, there's still people in the world that will not accept the fact that a Black person can do something and have something such as a business debit card. She could have been in those situations before because I entered the wrong PIN number and had to go inside to try to use it. But I mean, obviously her first thought was, this card was either stolen or something like that. But I mean, it's kind of hard to say a card is stolen when you have the actual paper from that you just ripped the debit card off of.
Your
my name on it. With my ID and my other debit cards all say the same name. So, yeah.
Oh man, rough. Who'd like to go next?
I guess I could go. Actually, when I took over the shop, because it originally was owned by Armando Blakely. I don't know if you guys know him. He's been in Terre Haute. So when I took it over from him, in the course of us switching everything over, as we were finishing out switching the building over to me, the person, I really don't want to. But anyways, it's probably going to start some stuff. But the person who owns the building told me to just make sure you don't sell drugs out of there. I said, "What? Sell drugs? I cut hair? Like what?"
Yeah.
It's like I didn't understand the like it was baffling to me. It's like, why would I sell drugs out there?
Do hair products count as drugs?
I mean, I just. So I was just like, oh, okay. I didn't even know how to take it. I just sat there. So I was just like, wow. So when I got in the car, I thought, I was like, yo, they really do believe that most Black people, when they open up barbershops, we use the barbershop or hair salon or something like that to clean drug money. Like that is a very big stigmatism in our city.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yes, a lot. Yeah, especially in the Black community. Yeah. So yeah, it really took me out. It took me off guard. I didn't even know how to react to the situation. But that was, yeah.
And, yeah.
All right. Well, luckily, me and Dallas, I don't think we've ran into any situation where we've been judged. If we did feel that way when we're talking to a client initially, and since we're a marketing firm, and people tend to put marketing on the back end of their business and they're skeptical, we tend to want to work over and beyond our expectations, so they can trust us more, or they won't go to another firm, just to make sure we reprove to them that we are capable of our job.
So you feel like you kind of have to prove yourself above and beyond a little bit with your clients,
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
I feel you there. Okay.
Yeah, we had the problems of almost essentially from day one, and they were a bit complex. I think one, I have very similar stories to LT of going to the bank to make a withdrawal, and you need, they want you to give blood in order to get access to your bank account. I'll give a bit more complex story, which is a little bit darker. We raised, since it's an investment fund, we raised a couple $1 million. And so we had a handful of $1 million in the account. And the way investment management works is you raise a couple $1,000,000 and then you leverage that to get access to more capital, right? So if you're in the marketplace, you've got $5,000,000 into the marketplace, you may have $15 million of buying power, right? So I raised a few $1,000,000 and then I went to go get my leverage. And the problem was there was never a bank that has ever given a Black business leverage.
Mm.
So when I showed up with a couple $1,000,000 and I asked for a couple $1,000,000 in leverage, they had never done it before. They didn't understand it. And so when I spoke to some of my other peers that had businesses of similar size and scale, they were only getting leverage on cash secured loans. So in order to get $1 million loan to do $1 million worth of business, you had to deposit $1 million into that bank. And just think about that conceptually. That's not a loan. You're just giving me your own money, right? So I literally I raised whatever amount of money we had, a check from the state for $50 million, and we could not get leverage on $50 million. I just went public with that story in the last 8 months, but there was not a bank. We met with 8, let's say 8 banks, and I think it's for sure double digits, but let's say 8 to be conservative. I met with 8 bank CEOs that have never given a Black CEO leverage without it being a tax write-off or something like that. They've never done it. They had no clue. They were like, hey, why don't you go into business for another 10 more years and come back?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was I got a ton of those stories, and that LT story, I got tons of those too, but I tend to laugh at them. So hopefully, LT brother, you didn't think I was laughing. I was laughing because I've been there. That's all.
No, I mean, I think we all just kind of laugh and shake our head because it's common, which is sad to say. In our workspace, in our profession, we hear these stories and we laugh and like, yeah, there's another one. It's like we brush it off so much that we're just used to it. We just have to accept it or figure out a way to de-escalate the situation so we don't go to jail or God forbid end up shot dead for using our own debit card at a gas station.
I'm glad you both pointed that out because that was the thing. When you were giving your experiences, no one was surprised. Well, I was surprised. Maybe I was the only one though. Everyone else here on the call, it seemed like you were giving different experiences, but I felt like a lot of times each one of you were saying like, "Yep, I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I get it." Now granted, AJ, I haven't had $5 million in cash in my pocket at one time, so I have not been directly there. But like, it feels like you've been there with all of these scenarios, so this isn't anything new.
Yeah, and plus to Andre's point too, though. I mean, I'm sure everybody else feels the same way. I always feel like we have to over deliver in any case and scenario. There's very little wiggle room for mistakes, or you always feel like you have to go over and beyond to continue to win the trust of the people that you're working with, which is customer service. But then there's also what we're talking about today too.
Yeah.
No, and I'll just to cherry go follow LT's lead there. I can count, when I cross these different discussions with my peers of other cultures, and I share the experiences of what it took for me to raise, our first fund and get our first couple of clients and so forth. They laugh. I routinely turn in 100-page documents in scenarios where other people, just to get, second, third meetings with clients where other folks were saying, yeah, I got a beer with him and he wired me $1 million, and it's par for the course. I think a lot of folks were raised that way. I'm from Indiana. So you're kind of taught that innately that, hey, you're gonna have to work hard, don't make excuses. And you're going to have to absolutely perform consistently at a high level, or else you're not going to get that second shot at those businesses. And to LT's point, you sure as hell better over prepare.
Yeah. That's. It's great that you all that you as business owners can work through that, but the fact that you have to right,
Mhm.
is frustrating, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very frustrating.
Well, can you talk to me about an adversity that you are proud of overcoming? Some kind of roadblock, something that hit you pretty hard that you're really proud that you got through that, you succeeded, you did well. I mean, entrepreneurs go through adversity all the time, right? And you as Black entrepreneurs, I can imagine go through more adversity at times. So what is one time that you got through it and you succeeded and you're really proud of that? What's one of those?
So I guess I'll go first. I think me still being open at this point in time is me succeeding and overcoming it. I mean, COVID, of course, we already know COVID destroyed basically everybody's way of life at this point. And I was nervous. When they said we had to shut down, I said, oh no, wait. Like, we just getting started, you can't shut down, but we're still here. I was one of the few people that actually did it without having to get a PPP loan or anything. So I was like, I'm only gonna do it if it's my last resort. Yeah, because I don't want to have anything held over my head. I don't want to feel like I had to have a handout or anything like that. So I did it, and I did it with my team, but we made it through it. So I was like, just being open, I feel is me succeeding, because nobody expected the barbershop to even still be open after I lost, after everybody left and I took over. Nobody expected the barbershop to still be open. So me still being open right now is me winning.
Survival.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And sleeping at night. Surviving and sleeping.
Oh, you got to sleep at
Oh yeah,
night too?
I still got to sleep, so I think I'm winning all the way
There
around.
you go. All right. That's something to be proud of for sure. How about go ahead, Andre.
All right. And to piggyback off what she said with COVID, same for us. We was just finishing up. We wasn't, when COVID started, we didn't even have our first year under our belt. We only had a few clients. But during COVID, we're glad we overcame it, because we planned. We planned for the future. We organized. We made sure when we get a client, we can prepare for them immediately. In terms of how fast we get their work back to them, in terms of how good we are. We researched and studied our fields and industry. So when things start to get back on track, and obviously we're not over COVID yet, but when things started to get back on track, we was prepared. We was ready to handle anything that came to us.
Yeah, the preparedness is huge. And actually, Donnie, I didn't ask you this. So how did you survive? I mean, what especially barbershop, that's got to be rough, right? How did you do that?
To be honest, during the whole COVID, we basically just remodeled the shop. I was just like, it's time for us to go. I was like, this would be the perfect time to just start anew. Like, so we did a complete facelift on the inside, which kept us busy because I'm not used to sitting still at all. So I was like, we got to do something or I'm gonna go crazy. But we remodeled the shop, pretty much helped try to rebrand, which we're still in the process of doing now. But everybody's rebranding themselves as a separate entity, and then we're also rebranding Sophisticated Phresh as a collective. So that's pretty much all we did was refocus on what we want within the next 5 years. We had nothing but time to figure it out.
But you kind of doubled down on your own business.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How long were you closed?
We were closed almost 3 months. 3 months, I think, was how long we were closed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was the longest 3 months of my life.
Same with you.
Yeah, I think that's the same. We was in the same boat.
Yeah.
It was right after, what was that, May 20th or 24th or so. I mean, I think the COVID was the biggest adversity for, our business too, because I mean, this is an in-person business and, we're dealing direct contact, there's personal relationships. Like she said, like the barbershop is basically the hub of the community in most cases. So for us, we're trying to deal with people in a very personal level with things that they've probably struggled with their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So we're missing that opportunity to build that rapport with them. So then everything is shut down. Specifically when we invested in technology that goes by breath analysis. So you're talking about a pandemic, and now we've already invested in the technology months before that. We're still trying to get our feet underneath us, how we're going to launch, do this the right way. And then we're talking about put this mask on and breathe into it. We're doing breath by breath analysis, and COVID-19 comes into play that. So yeah, that was pretty rough. And I think, at this point, we figured out, just like everybody else, how to adapt and try to overcome to a certain extent. So yeah, I think the other adversity we faced too was we was one of the first companies, small businesses per se, in the community to have a body composition analyzer, medical grade body composition analyzer. And it was very hard for us when other small businesses, probably bigger than ours, started buying those to use in their different field. So much not in the health and wellness field, but they was doing them in certain different areas. So that was an adverse time, because then everybody, some people would lower their price to get that business, but not provide the additional services of what it actually means and how it helps them. Mm-hmm. So we have to make sure that we do our part to provide a different explanation and take that customer service to a different step. I feel like that was one roadblock, and then of course the biggest one was COVID.
Sure.
Biggest adversity. I mean, raising money is always hard. Getting someone to trust you with their hard-earned money is near impossible, right? So by design, as it should be. So I mean, I'm not going to go on a big rant about that, because that's probably, I don't want to waste anybody's time. I guess the more creatively, I would say one of the things I'm most proud of is to start a financial management company that manages institutional money. One of the real reasons why it's not diverse is not just people not willing to give you the money, but the hurdle to start the business is so high. So the legal documents are somewhere between $300,000 to $500,000 in costs just to put the paperwork together, to put it on the street and market it. And I had just quit my job to start the company. I had my retirement money and my little savings that I put together. And when I saw what the legal bills were potentially going to be, I said, there's no way I'm paying that. Hell no, not when lawyers more than likely have that setting on a shared drive and all they do is put Control F and swap it out and then send it to you, right? So they're not gonna hustle me. So what I figured was, there's a bit of privilege because I'm in a major market, is that all of these major law firms have pro bono shops, and all the major universities that have law firms have pro bono classes and so forth. So I found some cheaper docs. I had some law students go through them for free. And I took them all to drinks and paid for lunches and stuff. And they stamped them and took them for free and turned it all to the A-class stuff. And then I took that final product back to a top tier law firm just to get the final stamp that it was great. And I bet out of pocket, it might've cost me, this is recorded, isn't it? All right. So out of pocket, it cost me much less than $500,000. I'll say that. So no, and that what it reminded me is that there was a hurdle. I solved a problem. I got to the other side. I saved money and I found value. And that gave me some momentum that, okay, I'm the right person to lead this business, because I can figure some things out, make the right friends at the right time, and execute at a high level still, right?
For sure.
So, yeah, and I think for me, if you ever saw our docs, they technically are from one of the 5 biggest law firms in the world. So if you read our stuff and look at our documents, you think, oh, this guy spent $700,000 on legal docs. And you're like, no, I spent Bally money.
Well, before we move on, I just want to give a quick shout out to Kristen Craig, who has joined our call. Welcome, Kristen. Thank you for joining. Appreciate it.
Glad I could be here. Sorry I was a few minutes late, but it's nice to see everybody today. Thanks for doing this.
That's all right. We're excited. Now, AJ, I want to go back a little bit here. So you were able to find you were able to find some value. And I heard you say, you're not going to hustle me like that. I know, I feel like there's something about you that that kind of pushed that through, because I know not everybody would. They'd look at that and be like, well, I guess I got to raise another 500,000, or I guess I got to pay 750,000 for this thing. So what experiences have you had that kind of pushed you to find that value instead of just rolling over and giving up $500,000?
Well, I think one, if you're legitimately going to make these businesses work, you better think creatively. And we're all starting from positions where our budgets aren't massive. We don't got big investors behind us. I can speak. I've met LT before. He's a creative thinker. He's got a great business plan. I've actually got my haircut at that barber shop probably 100 times. So I can at least speak for those in that sense, that if you're going to make these businesses work, you need to think creatively. You need to know how to get $4 of value out of every buck. And that's the only way this thing works. And so, I think there are, as you do your research, there are projects and vendors that you work with that you say, okay, is this something I really need to pay this for? Or is this something that I could either A, do myself, and praise God for the internet, right? And YouTube, and figuring out how to do some stuff yourself. And then secondarily, you need to be resourceful in building out your network. You can't be the CEO of a barbershop or a wellness shop or a digital marketing firm without having a wide berth of folks that you need to know and tap into for fresh counsel and perspective, and to be able to bounce ideas. So the moment I saw that $300,000-$400,000 law bill coming down the train tracks, I knew I needed to abort mission ASAP and find another way.
For sure. Awesome. So here's where we kind of look forward a little bit. If you could say, and it doesn't have to be one thing. I know when I wrote the questions, it said if you could say one thing to an aspiring minority entrepreneur, what would it be? But I think there's a lot of things that we could say, right? So I don't want to limit you to just one thing. But if you could, if all of the aspiring minority entrepreneurs in the world are watching this video right now, what is something that you would tell them moving forward?
I'll piggyback off what AJ just said. Connections, get as many connections as you can, and research and work hard. Try to do everything you can to get the value before you pay someone else to do it, and then connections after that if you can't do it. Along with making connections through bringing people up through your business. So if you have something to offer them, do that. Exchange with people instead of, it don't have to always be a money transaction.
Preach.
I guess I would just say you have to, I think a lot of times what holds individuals back from taking that step to be an entrepreneur, specifically in the Black community, is the limited amount of resources they feel like they have. Meaning, if we've grown up in a community our entire life and, maybe our parents wasn't, business savvy, or we went through whatever hardship, or maybe not, it still feels like, well, what do I do next? So you need to take a look into the local resources, small business association, the chamber, those are the type of things that, a lot of people may not feel comfortable stepping into, opening that door in general. So I would, very, very highly encourage anyone who's considering being an entrepreneur to look at their local resources and pick up the phone or make an appointment or call someone, and then find someone in your field, someone that may be close in your field or maybe not. I mean, reach out to someone that you see or may aspire to be, see that they have things going on in the community, and figure out like, hey, well, how did you take that first step, and what maybe I can do? I'm not in your field, but where can I make those connections as well? And figure out that passion, be the expert in your field. And even though there may be 20 other businesses that look similar to yours, be their expert where everyone knows that you provide the service that's going to help them get the best bang for their buck and the results that they're looking for.
That's awesome. Well, lots of good advice there for sure.
Definitely. Grind harder, not at all. It's that simple, and no compromise.
Mhm.
There's no point, there's no such thing as half-assing. There is no such thing. When you want to be an entrepreneur, you either grind hard or not at all. Merch coming soon too, thank you.
I was about to say, I think we just got our thumbnail.
Yeah, merch coming soon, yes.
Pre-order, mark me down.
Yeah.
And that's an entrepreneur right there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, I got
That's
you. I
right.
got you. Just got my curriculum. It's coming soon.
Andre taking notes. Uh-huh. This is it, the marketing plan.
Love it.
No, I think advice for, kind of soon to be entrepreneurs, I think a couple things would be, one, to LT's point, exacerbate any resources or free resources that are within arm's reach. To his point, the chamber, any small business association, any of those things you've got to tap into. I'm a big proponent of the public library. One, that's reading material, meeting space. There's all kinds of programs and services that they have to tap into. So that's one I used heavily. The other piece, the other two things I would advise is plan for success. I think that we know what failure looks like. We've seen, Kristen's here. She's probably seen 4 million businesses fail at this point. And that's okay. I think the worst case scenario is that you're successful and you're not ready for it. Right. And you come out the other side and you got the client, you got the investor, you built the product, you created the service, and you're not ready. The people show up to the barbershop and you don't got clippers, and you didn't do all the right other things, the ancillary pieces to make sure that business was successful, right? You didn't do the research in the ground game. And then lastly, when you are a business, you're an economy in of yourself. And so one of the things that I'm passionate about, recognizing the ripple effect that my business has, is I'm really intentional about who I do business with, right? To Andre's point, he was saying everything isn't dollar for dollar. Some things are services, but sometimes it is. I do have, I write checks every day. I'm writing checks to people that mission align with me, that care about the communities that I care about. That you don't have to think and always like I think, but you need to care like I care. And so when you see the businesses, if it's an emerging young woman that's an insurance broker, or because when do women get to manage millions of dollars of risk management insurance? We had a young woman that was our lawyer for a $2 million project. We had 2 Black engineers for a pretty big project. I had 14 women in minority-owned businesses that have gotten several $1 million worth of contracts with us. This is like, at the end of the day, the data says that Black people hire Black people the most on average. So if you're looking for the economies of scale, then we need to be intentional. Women empower other women, right? So you need to make sure that if you're going to partner and do business and have service vendors, you need to make sure that you're empowering the right folks in the right way and that they mission align with your views. So those would be my thoughts.
Awesome. Good thoughts there. And I like how you touch back on what Andre was saying about you have a plan, right? I mean, Andre, you said like you survived, but not only did you survive, but you moved forward because you had a plan. It wasn't just reacting to the world. It was survival. And then, okay, we got this plan. Let's work the plan, right?
Right. Being over prepared is probably the number one thing I would tell someone. And also another point, invest in yourself. Don't be scared to invest in yourself. Whether it's buying the latest equipment or the best equipment for you. Sometimes it's not the latest equipment. Make sure you invest in yourself and put out the best product possible.
And Jared, you and Chris, and I just want to point this out about this panel. One of the things I always preach to entrepreneurs when they ask me about starting their own business, one of the things that I think is really important is, do you solve a problem? Right? If you're just starting a business to start a business, your odds of being successful are whatever. There's a clear need in rural communities and emerging communities for health and wellness. We need to invest better in our bodies physically. barbershops are around for 200 years because hair keeps growing. It keeps growing. So we need somebody to solve that problem. Andre is solving a marketing need, SEO, that back office stuff of your marketing plan, that digital plan. Like it literally is a part of everything that everyone is doing. And that's a problem we have that needs solved. And so the other advice is don't start a business because you want to see your name or your brand hanging up on a t-shirt or something. Solve a problem, and I promise you it will be successful, or at least your odds of being successful are much higher.
Don't create a solution and find a problem for it, right? Focus on the problem, then the solution. Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, so last question for y'all. What about our community? I know we're talking a lot about, entrepreneurs and focused on that, but the Wabash Valley in particular, because you all have very, very strong ties to this area, right? And so what is there something that you would say to the business community or the community in general here in the Wabash Valley from you as a Black entrepreneur in our area? What is something that you could say, given the soapbox that you have right now? What would you like to add?
I would say add us to your Rolodex. Look to be intentional to work with minority business or Black-owned businesses. I feel like, as AJ pointed out and Andre pointed out, your connections and that networking is huge. But a lot of times, again, when you're a new business owner, or maybe you're only a couple of years in, you still lack those connections because you didn't come from those connections. And a lot of times, speaking for myself in general, if I don't come from money, then how am I going to be around money unless I'm intentionally invited to be around a certain meeting, or if I'm intentionally putting myself in place to be a part of that. So, from local community or local business owners, maybe instead of doing what you've done the past 20 years, even though you may still have your own business contract with certain other business relationships, but, be open to the idea of inviting other people into maybe a certain event or different things like that to give us an opportunity to expose ourselves to the community. And that way we have an opportunity to earn your business.
To be intentional about it, right?
Absolutely. And another thing too, before I hand it off, if I could say one thing to other businesses is, please take a look at your hiring practices. Maybe it's, are we hiring other, Black people, or we hiring minority, or we hiring women? Take a hard look at that and make sure when you look at that, like, be intentional. Somebody has to be held accountable, from all angles of, who we do business with. Are we taking an active, proactive look into, our hiring practices in general, and who do we work with? We worked for the last 5 years. We've done these events or different things, and we've invited the same 5 businesses to this event. So how can we change that?
Yeah, good information. Good stuff. You don't have to. I mean, it's up to you.
Pretty much on the same sentiment as just because we are a minority business owner, don't mean that we only here for minorities. We are here to service the whole community. Don't put us in a box. Mm-hmm. We're not just here for the minority population. We're here for the entire population. So don't get that a lot. Just because it's a Black business or a minority-owned business doesn't mean it's just here for the minority population. Yeah. We service all.
So piggyback off of what LT was saying, it works both ways with the connections. If you hire the people that's not minorities, you're going to get the same audiences to come to your restaurant or come to your business, whatever it is. If you hire a minority, you might open up a whole new world, a whole new audience, a whole new customer service that can come to your business now because they told their friends, and then they told their friends to keep, and it just keeps going. So just hiring a minority can open up the door to a lot of things.
Yeah, for sure. And not always hiring, right? Working with, mm-hmm. right? Just working with other minority businesses can do similar things, right? You're still growing that network, right? And I agree, hiring for sure, but working with small businesses and minority business owners is huge too.
Jared, can you restate the question? Unfortunately, that pterodactyl sound is my 1-year-old. So it got a little blurry on your question. I'm sorry. And yes, I'm safe. Thanks for asking.
I don't hear it, but now I want to.
Did we just talk about adversity and you didn't mention having a pterodactyl 1-year-old? All right. I see how rough business is. Okay.
It's real in my house.
So the basic question was anything you'd like to say to the business community or the community in general, the Wabash Valley, as a minority entrepreneur?
Yeah, the timing of your question is unique because as we've been, Kristen and you, we've all met recently because I'm considering opening an office and expanding into the Wabash Valley. And I think my challenge is piggybacks, I'm going to get in line and follow LT here, is the intentionality. Do we even count it? Is it a data point? Has the hospitals or the universities, do they have data on how much, what their minority inclusion plan is for their annual spend? Are they thinking differently and creatively about how a barbershop can be included in the university strategic plan or the hospital community plan, right? Because I think there's a way to do that successfully. So I think there's one, if you don't count it, it doesn't matter. If you don't count it, you don't care. So I think data matters. Two is we can't be afraid to think different. We can't get lost in what currently is, and what has worked historically. The world is shifting very, very quickly. If I would have told you that Andre Whittaker was going to exist 10 years ago, you would have laughed me out of the room. I would have no idea what the heck SEO was, right? I mean, that's unreal. So we need to think forward about, okay, well, what's the next thing? Is it digital marketing? Is it renewable energy? Is it artificial intelligence? What is the next thing? And let's not be slow to get on front of it. Because I think one of the things that we learned, and one of the things I learned from the Amazon Q2 when they were looking to relocate, was that you saw that there were some smaller towns, some university towns that were willing to think differently, regardless of where they were geographically or politically or any of that mess. They're willing to say, just as my community, I'm going to think differently. We're open-minded to everything. Everyone's open. You like Thai food, bring your Thai restaurant. If you like whatever, it's welcome here. We're going to try it. We're going to engage it meaningfully, right? And I think we've got to always push back on old thinking and continuously challenge ourselves to, why does the room look this way? And what will the room look like in the future, right? And I think that's going to be something that, as you mentioned, I'm deep ties to the Wabash Valley. So that's going to be something that we're have to continuously push the button on.
For sure. And I hate to do the plug, but I gotta, since you said think differently and, pull in a strong network. I mean, that's what launch is all about, right? Yeah. We're all about creative problem solving, entrepreneurship, building that network of entrepreneurs and having a safe environment for entrepreneurs to create. Right. And so I would just add to this that, a lot of the things that these individuals on this call have said, we want to help with. Launch wants to help with. So if you have an idea and you don't feel like there's a place for you as a minority in the community, come to Launch Terre Haute, right? We will hook you up. And we'll do everything we can to make sure that you're successful, for sure. And the Chamber of Commerce, of course, as well. If you're a current business and you want to hook into the network here in the Wabash Valley, that's the way to do it. So any closing thoughts? Anything we want to end on? I know I had to throw in that plug there, but I want to make sure. Anything else we want to end on? Anything else we want to add to the discussion?
No, I don't think so. I really appreciate being a part of the discussions, and I feel like it takes a lot for Launch Terre Haute Chamber of Commerce. Not a lot, but it means a lot that you guys are willing to have these discussions and continue to have these discussions, because let's be honest, 2020 was very different in a lot of ways, specifically in the Black community, and what we saw in several different things with protests, political movements, having the first, female vice president. There's a lot that's happened over the last year to 2 years. And it's very important that the conversations and any discussions and panels continue to move forward, and there's a consistent message from the pillars of the community, like Launch Terre Haute and Terre Haute Chamber of Commerce.
For sure, I agree. And I got to thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate the fact that you're able to come here and kind of talk about your own experiences, because I know sometimes that's hard, right? Talking about my experiences is hard, and I haven't faced the same adversity that you have, right? We've all faced different adversities, and I think talking about that sometimes can be rough and difficult, especially on something that is recorded and will be up on YouTube for the whole wide world to see. So that's, sometimes it can be hard, sometimes it can be helpful. And I think here in this way, it is going to be helpful for a lot of people, not just the people that are sitting right here, not just our networks, but, moving forward. I hope somebody sees this that's, in high school right now thinking about a business and says, well, hey, if AJ could do it, right? If LT could do it, if Donnie could do it, I can do it, right? And that's really what we want. One of the things that we want out of this video. So I really appreciate you all coming, both physically and virtually. Thank you. And thank you to the Chamber of Commerce as well for hooking us up and getting us the technology that we need to put this together. So we definitely appreciate that as well. Kristen, any closing thoughts before we close out?
No, I just want to thank you all for being, so open and honest and sharing all this information today. And this is not the first time I've had some of these conversations with a few of you. I mean, LT and I are probably on our, fourth, fifth conversation, some of these issues in the past few months, but I think LT said it perfectly. It's important that we keep this in the forefront. And I think, by today's session, you can see that the Chamber and we're committed to doing that, but we need your help. So it doesn't end today. You feel free to reach out to us at any point, myself, Jared, anybody on the team, and give us your ideas. We want to do better and be better, and we need your help in making that happen. So thank you all for joining today.
Sure. Thank you all very much. See y'all later.
Thanks.